Hey guys, it's Josh Reviews. Oh man, Christmas is literally in just about a week. Can you believe it? It's crazy, I know. Anyways, so since Christmas is almost here, because I only review like 12 movies at the month of December, I figured, you know what? I'm gonna make this one special. So, 'tis the season to be jolly. Not in the case for David Howard Thornton or Damon Leone, or any of the people making this movie, because today's movie is Terrifier 3. That's right, the killer clown. Oh man, I remember in 2013 when this guy was just in a short horror film, and they used that segment as to make a feature-length anthology film, and I really enjoyed All Hallows Eve. It has its flaws. Some of the, at least one of the segments is kind of but for the most part, I enjoyed it. It terrified the hell out of me when I first watched it. And I was like, you know, this guy deserves to be in a feature film. And here we are nearly 11 years later, and we have the third Terrifier, and now 2 more have been officially announced as far as I'm aware. I know the 4th one was announced, but I think they announced the 5th one. So, oh man, it's going to be exciting. Anywho, Terrifier 3. So, if you didn't know already, the first 2 Terrifiers movie, the first 2 Terrifier movies which I already reviewed, you can find them in my Halloween month review playlist from 2022, whatever. So yeah, both of those films were Halloween films, but they wanted to switch it up. So Terrifier 3 is a Christmas movie. That's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. And since it is the season to be jolly, it's a major award. So you guys can look at my shirt. How was this movie? Well, first of all, let's get the stuff out of the way. As a sequel to Terrifier 3, it picks up literally right where the second movie ended. If you watched the post-credit scene in that movie, I mean, it literally picks up right after that, while also giving us an introduction to Art the Clown as a villain, which I would want to say the first 2 films do a decent enough job establishing who Art is. Like, the first film, we just kind of see him prepare for what is about to come later in the film. And then as certain stuff happens, you're just kind of like, oh, okay, so he's very, you know, he's a very violent fellow who's also happens to be a mime, clown, whatever. Then Terrifier 2 picks up right after where the first movie ended, and it does a good job establishing who Art the Clown is. But because it's picking up right after, like, where it left off, I feel like, you know, people who already seen the first movie, you know, are just going like, okay, I know who Art the Clown is. And for people who just saw the second movie, didn't watch the first one, are like, okay, you know, this is cool. But I want to say this, Art the Clown, while even though he's incredibly violent, he is a fucking sadist, maniac, clown. In this movie, what I like about the opening in this film is that no one is safe. They show you that in the first 10 minutes of this movie. If you guys don't already know, there was a lot of controversy for when this film was getting made, that, oh my God, Art the Clown's gonna kill children. It's like, yeah, no shit. Why wouldn't he kill children? He did that in All Hallows Eve. If you guys seen that film, you guys know he is not, you know, kids are, you know, they're not safe. No one is safe when it comes to Art the Clown. Although, according to the director according to David Howard Thornton, the actor who plays Art the Clown, he said the only, like, limit is, you know, Art won't rape anyone. And I'm glad they addressed that, because I heard some people online saying that, you know, is Art the Clown going to do that in the 4th one? Because that's the only way they can make it shock. I'm like, yeah, no, how about let's not? Anyways, back on track here. Just wanted to point that out because it's kind of weird. Yeah, no, this movie shows you no one's safe. There's child murder in this film, and it's pretty violent. It's not on screen. I feel like a lot of the controversy was kind of just like, it was overhyping it. Don't get me wrong, children still die in this movie, but it's not like, oh my God, they go out of their way to show you the child murder on screen. No, it's, you know, it's very, I want to say respectful, but, you know, they don't show you anything like Art the Clown hacking up a kid. That's what happens to the kid in the first 10 minutes, but you don't see it. It's all off screen. I know you guys are probably like, well, why are you spoiling it? I'm just, it's the opening of the movie. It's not essential to the plot. But what I like about the opening and why I'm going in depth on this is because I like how it's the first time in a Terrifier film where we establish Art as like who he is, what are the stakes, and what we should expect. It did a great job doing that, and the kills have never looked this good. I mean, I'm not like a gore hound or anything. Like, I appreciate the practical effects that went into it and, you know, the practical gore and all that stuff and the makeup. I look at it from the filmmaking standpoint. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm like, whoa, that was a cool kill, but I'm not like, yeah, kill that kid. It's like, no, I'm not like that. But no, the gore is insane in this movie. The gore is absolutely insane, and I am surprised that this movie got a biggest theatrical release as it did. I mean, this movie broke numbers. This movie is not rated R. It's not NC-17. This movie was not rated by the NPA or whatever the fuck it's called. This movie came out in theaters unrated, and it is the first movie to break box office records with an unrated rating. That's insane. Anyways, I should probably talk about the movie because I'm already 5 minutes in. This might be a long review. Who knows? But anyways, so we pick up right where the second one left off. And the movie does a good job reestablishing the characters from the second movie. Sienna's back. Her brother is back. And they do a good job establishing those characters. And I really like the natural progression that the characters had. I forget if the brother's name is Justin. Whatever. The brother, I thought his progression was natural. I find it funny how he's supposed to be the younger brother, but yet he's taller than Sienna. And I want to say this, the actress who plays Sienna, I'm not good with names, so don't expect me to know her name, but the actress playing Sienna does a phenomenal job in this movie. I'd argue it's a lot better than the second movie. She does a tremendous job, and I really gotta give kudos to the actress for nailing the performance. I mean, she portrays her anxiety and fear and trauma in such a natural way. And the way she tries to rekindle that connection with her brother while also rekindling the connection with, I believe it's her niece, I think. Yeah, but she's looking after her niece. Or because in the second movie, spoiler alert, slight spoiler, her mom died and she goes to visit her mom's sister for Christmas. And she spends time with them. And over the course of the film, we find out that, you know, Art the Clown's back, so of course she has to, you know, find a way to stop it. Which leads me to my biggest issue with this film, but it's not something that I think ruins the movie or anything. It's just something I noticed, and maybe it's not even really an issue, it's more of a nitpick, but it is something I heard a lot of people have issue with this film. A lot of the time we're spent with Sienna, not a lot is happening. In terms of the story's not necessarily moving forward. It's more just like preparing for what's to come and what inevitably is going to happen at the end. We're building up to that final climax, similar to Halloween Ends builds up to that final showdown with Laurie and Michael, which I'm okay with. But whereas in that film, I feel like everything kind of happens natural and like the progression feels like, you know, yeah, this feels like the natural state where our characters would be in. This one, I just kind of felt like it was talk, but no show. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I just felt like they kept talking about how Art the Clown is going to show up, and Sienna never really faces Art the Clown until the very end. Like, she suspects him coming back, and it's similar. I bring up Halloween Ends a lot now, but I bring it up in this case because I can't help but compare the two. But, you know, she's preparing for Art, but whereas in Halloween Ends, where Corey is, you know, obviously the subject of, like, you know, being, you know, the next Michael, and Laurie's trying to, you know, help him go down the right path. In this movie, there's not really any of that. She has a connection of her niece, I believe. And, you know, it's a good, the good chemistry. The actress playing the niece or the little girl does a great job. Everyone in this film does a great job. I know in the second movie, a lot of people complained about the mother's acting, being overacting. I can understand that. I kind of had a similar issue, but I learned to appreciate. And this film, it's like, no, everything's like way better. Every issue I had with all the other films, it's like, this feels like a higher budget movie because it was a higher budget than the last two. But that being said, I just felt like in some areas of the story, we just kind of paused just to kind of like, you know, talk about stuff we already know. Like, how many times do I need to hear Sienna say, yeah, Art the Clown's coming back? It's like, okay, I kind of got that already. Let's just get to the climax of the film because that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for that big showdown. And when it does happen, it is an epic showdown. And something else I forgot to mention, the character from the first movie, the survivor, Nikki, she is possessed by the little ghost girl from the second movie, which isn't a spoiler. That happens at the end of the second movie. And holy fuck, man, it's exactly like Michael and Corey. Well, not the same, but you know, it's a team up. And holy shit, they do some outrageous things. Nikki, now as a Christian, I couldn't help but notice this. And I know some of you guys probably don't give a shit, but I'm gonna mention this anyways because I thought it was something cool. Nikki makes this crown of thorns, which is the crown Jesus wore when he was crucified. She makes like a crown of thorns and she puts it on Sienna's head, and then she mocks God. And I want to say, like, very like as a Christian, I really paid attention to this, and I liked the detail because at the end when, you know, they do have the final confrontation, I almost got like an angel versus a demon vibe, which is, I can tell that's what they're going for, but I just picked up on that little detail and I like that. I like that. I know most Christians probably won't watch this movie, but as someone who is Christian and loves horror movies, I really like that detail to show, you know, she's kind of representing the angel and you know, Art's the devil and whatnot. You know, I like that detail. I like that detail. And for anyone who's interested in the lore with Art the Clown, a lot of the lore is explained and further addressed. A lot of questions that were asked in the last two movies are answered. Obviously, there are some questions that are still left up in the air, but I like the fact that the movie doesn't just spell it out. One of the things I like about the two Terrifier films, obviously with the first one being an exception because it was just a standard slasher, what these two Terrifier films do wonderfully is spend time with the characters and I don't feel, well, I had issue with the story and how it like kind of progressed with Sienna's character. She still did a great job for what she was doing. And I love the little moments we got to spend with Sienna and her family. You really feel like they are a family and you really feel connected to what's going on. Plus, I like the way they handled her trauma and PTSD. It felt natural, like the stuff that was happening to her felt real, didn't feel forced, didn't feel fake. I like that. So a lot of that stuff I had, I thought a lot of those things in the films were probably the film's biggest strengths. Now, obviously all that being said, this is still a slasher film, so you expect a lot of gore. And oh boy, there are, yeah. So yeah, the second movie, if you're watching the first movie, you're like, wow, that song and half scene was violent. And then you watch the second movie, you're like, oh my God, that bedroom scene's violent. Nope, I got news for you. This, the scene in this film tops all of that. Tops all of that. So, if you don't already know, I won't spoil it, but let's just say this. There is a naked couple in a shower making out. Art the Clown overheard the girl talking about how she wanted to meet Art the Clown if she could, because she runs like a horror podcast thing. And Art the Clown's like, okay, you want to meet me? Well, let's dance. And he brings a chainsaw to the shower, and he does some chainsawing. He's just chainsawing some wood logs. That's what he's doing. This scene tops all the other scenes in those films. I mean, fuck, if they're making two more, I wonder how they're gonna top this scene. But okay, let's see where it goes. So that death was brutal. There's quite a bit of brutality in this film. This film's probably if you were squeamish in the other films, this film you're going to be the most squeamish, because there are some scenes in here that just I mean, that chainsaw scene, it's pretty bad. But there are some other scenes in this film that a lot of people were saying was worse than the chainsaw. So it's, whatever scene you thought was the worst, kill scene. I mean, there's a scene where a guy gets turned into a literal snowman. The child death that I explained earlier. I won't spoil the other children's death scene, but there's a lot of brutality in this film. There's a lot, and yeah. So besides, actually, something I want to mention. Because when I watched this movie in theaters, there was only one scene that all the gore and stuff that's violent and whatnot. There's one scene in this film that I was like, okay, I'm genuinely uncomfortable. There's a scene where it's Art the Clown is nailing some guy's head in, And Nikki's watching Art the Clown do this, and she takes a broken glass shard and she starts doing something with the shard of glass up her. Yeah. That was the only scene that made me feel uncomfortable. I'm only mentioning this as like a warning because that scene was very uncomfortable. So maybe some people might find that scene uncomfortable. Just a fair warning. Besides some story issues, because I feel like, again, some places in the story, it just kind of feels like we're just kind of waiting till that climax hits. Besides that, I really enjoyed this movie. It was a lot of fun. It sounds funny and fucked up to say, but I like the characters. Art the Clown is still vicious, maniacal. He's this madman clown mime, but he's fun to watch in the sense of like, you love to hate him. And this film does a good job portraying that. I think that the kills are insane. The whole Christmas atmosphere is beautiful. I mean, this movie is a Christmas movie without a doubt. There's a lot of Christmas shit going on. You got the hat, you got the snowman, you got the tinsel, you got everything. It's beautiful. And I can definitely see this being in people's top 10 Christmas horror films. So, because there's not as many as you'd probably expect. There's a lot more Halloween horror films than Christmas. But, yeah. So besides some story issues, the story for the most part was okay. But other than that, I loved seeing our characters again. The kills were dope. Art the Clown was dope. So I can't wait to see where the fourth one picks up, because this movie definitely ends on a cliffhanger, which some people had an issue with. I didn't. I kind of figured that's where they were going because the length of the movie was already running 2 hours. So I was like, okay, we're going to set up for the fourth one. Anyways, guys, so I'm going to give this movie an A-. It was really fun, enjoyable. You guys should go check it out. Art the Clown is becoming a new horror icon. I love that. You'll love to see it. So, can't wait to see what I review next. Here, have a candy cane.